Dear parents, thanks so much for coming. I wish all the parents were here, and I'm so sorry that I'm not here in real life. But I am in Chicago, getting ready for the Chicago Marathon, having a thrill of a lifetime. Thank you for forgiving me. First of all, before I begin, hopefully you have the same notes that I'm reading here. On the back, you should have the healthy habits of the mind, which I'll get to in a second. Feel free to contact me anytime. Email, don't hesitate to call me at home. I never forget that I get paid big bucks by your taxes to serve your kids. I'm happy to receive your calls. On the sheet, you can see my educational background. And let me get right into my educational theory, because this is a profound part of how I function and how I run class. My teaching was profoundly changed by a book that came out in 1995 called Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goldfine. And he argues that using research, there are two kinds of intelligence. IQ, which has a genetic ceiling, and EQ, emotional intelligence. And that the kid's emotional intelligence is more of an indicator of whether they're going to do well in life than an IQ. And EQ, emotional intelligence, is teachable. So it seems to me what schools should really focus on, and what I've been focusing on, is how to promote better emotional intelligence, which I call healthy habits of the mind. And that's what I'm looking to develop in your children. I'm not a content-oriented class. I use the content every day to promote some kind of healthy habits of the mind, always thinking about EQ. I want your kids to use their minds better. If you actually look on the back side of this sheet, you'll see some of the things, that healthy habits of the mind, that I'm talking about. For example, number one, dealing with failure in a healthy way. People who are really successful in life are successful not because they haven't failed a lot, because they deal with their failures and the mistakes in a healthy way. This is an example of an emotional intelligence. Number two on the list is that people who really succeed, they take thoughtfully more creative and emotional risks. They have, number three, better collaborative skills. For metacognitive awareness, they do think about what good emotional intelligence looks like and promote it in themselves. I talk about these things. I won't go through the rest of the list, but these are the things on my mind that I'm promoting all the time. The first unit is a long 9-week unit. It's not a poetry unit. It's using a poetry unit because poetry is a good vehicle to teach lots of healthy writing and thinking habits of the mind. There'll be three things that we're mixing up in the first 9 weeks. We're reading lots of poetry, a lot of their own poetry back to them. Past students' poetry, some professional, a little bit of mine. I have them writing 14 different poetry assignments, and the purpose is they're like, I almost think of them as going out for mental jogs and exercises. I want them to take creative emotional risks. I want them to try different techniques. I want them to express themselves. I want them to develop a sense of audience, you know. I want them to be freer with the writing and learn in the beginning of the process to be wild and crazy and not be critical too soon. The third strand in this first unit is the two techniques that I think really matter the most: using imagery, show don't tell, specific details, and metaphor. I emphasize those a lot more than all the rest because I think they're way more important. At the end of the unit, I'll have them look at their 14 different drafts of poem, pick two, and then we begin the writing process. During the unit, I'll introduce the vocabulary unit. My vocabulary unit is not designed to stuff words down their throat. I think vocabulary units traditionally aren't really effective. What I really want to promote them is a healthy attitude towards vocabulary. They don't need to look up every word they don't know, but some words really matter. And when they sense those words, they should put out the time looking up, for example, a word like subjective. So every kid's vocabulary list each month is individualized, them finding the words that they should be looking up. After the first 9-week unit, I get into first of 3 formal essay units, because I do think this is the single most important thing to teach, because it develops their thinking as much as their writing when we go through essay. And I'll take them through draft using the writing process and really trying to teach them to use the writing process on their own without me when they get to college. All the things they should do for the first draft. The kind of wild and crazy and free writing they should bring to the first draft and then go to the critical stages. And ultimately, I want their draft to be dominated, to be focused, organized, and developed. everything is driving one clear idea. It is organized in paragraphs, and whatever they said they developed, it is developed with substance and efficiency. And I'll take them through draft after draft after draft to achieve this high level. After the personal narrative essay unit, then we spend 6 weeks doing Hamlet. I'm not teaching Hamlet because I'm supposed to or I have to. I want to share Hamlet. I've never come across a piece of writing that speaks to our everyday lives. There are reasons why 400 years later this play still rocks, is still relevant, and that's what I want to get across more than anything. After the Hamlet unit, we're back to the persuasive essay unit. Again, I'm taking them through the writing process. You know, I once heard good teachers make themselves progressively unnecessary. I want myself to be unnecessary for them to take themselves through the writing process in college. With the first personal narrative essay, I really hit, say, something like using strong, active verbs to create better sentences. With this persuasive essay, I'll hit economy really hard. You know, be really efficient, use fewer words, be succinct, but again, draft after draft, do they have a focused, organized, developed essay, and they begin to use those terms and have that consciousness of what it is makes a good essay and how it takes drafts to drive towards it. Also, the revising process, this is a healthy habit of the mind. If you want to make a better, you know, tomato cashew soup, you begin to revise it. If you want to be a better teacher, you revise your practice. If you want to be a better parent, you begin to look at each day as a draft and improve it. That's part of the emotional intelligence. At the end of the persuasive essay unit, I now have my one easy unit, a month of independent choice reading. And I just want them to really enjoy reading again, to be engaged. So the reason this unit is easy is because I remove every taboo and voodoo that English teachers have done to undermine the joy of reading and do nothing but emphasize the joy. I'm going to make sure that your son or daughter gets a book that they really like. It'll be their choice, I'll help them, and I expect them to thank me to give them a month of my classroom for reading. I'm looking for joy above all else. There's a month left at the end of the independent reading unit, and it's the senior speech. One more chance for me to take them through the entire essay process and emphasize everything that we've gone over all year, coming from the first 9 weeks of the poetry unit and trying to bring that writing spirit, that emphasis on imagery, that putting themselves in the piece and being really disciplined all together in one last essay. You can see my late policy at the end of the sheet. It's pretty lenient. I know your kids have complicated lives. I want to be fair and reasonable, but you know, I want to hold the line as well. You probably know that you can look at their grades any day you want on home access. And again, thanks so much for coming. Don't hesitate. I wish I was here in person to answer your questions. Don't hesitate to call or email me. Enjoy the rest of your evening.